would you like it if I conducted the entire review like this? Yeah. Pretty irritating not being able to see anything and just having the occasional flash of light to indicate whatever it is I'm doing. So whose idea was it to film 2/3 of an episode of the X-Files using this same technique? You see that, X-Files? That's called finding a light switch. These light bulbs, about $5 at Walmart, might want to invest in them. That way your viewers will know what's going on in the episode. Well, anyway, the episode opens with Mulder and Scully, who, of course, no longer work at the FBI, enjoying a quiet evening at home. You know, getting at home, being called on their smartphone by a blurry image of a dead member of a group that believed in conspiracy theories, whose name happens to be the same as CIA headquarters. You know, the usual stuff. The usual stuff. Then all of a sudden they get ambushed by a bunch of guys coming into their room, including a guy who looks like a bunch of assassins bursting into their front door, including an assassin who looks like an older, more deranged Weird Al Yankovic, and they get into a shootout with them, and the older assassin escapes. Then hear Skinner ordering them to surrender, but they're disinclined to do so, given that they trust Skinner about as far as they can comfortably throw the J. Edgar Hoover building. So they go on the run from what are not FBI agents, but some private security company, and they then discover some clues that at the grave sites of the lone gunmen, they find a code hidden in their birth dates on the tombstones, and that leads them to one of those annoying AR scanner things. If it feels like I'm glossing over a lot of stuff, well, that's because I am, because, again, most of this episode takes place in the pitch dark. I'm not even kidding. So you can't really see what's going on, so I'm guessing at some of it. If it's not said in dialogue, I'm pretty much guessing about what's going on, because really I had no chance of figuring it out myself, seeing as I couldn't see what was going on. They then ambush Skinner in the FBI parking lot. He then lets them into the X-Files and tells them that private security companies took over the X-Files when they left. Only when they reopened them last year, they became the purview of the FBI again, and they then find a clue that leads them to a scientist who leads them to a scientist. The clue was left behind for them by Langley, and they find her, and she explains to them that there is actually a government AI program that like scans people's brains and puts them in a virtual reality. She explains how to get in contact with it and why Langley contacted Mulder from that place. It turns out he was scanned. His brain was scanned before he died. she gives them the plot critical information just in time for the assassin to kill her, of course. Mulder and Scully then get another message from Langley telling them where the servers are for this virtual reality world. They discover that it's a secret private security facility, but there's a tunnel between an FBI field office and this and that place under. So Scully does the old I have a prisoner here that needs to go to this place to let them into so that they can get to the tunnel via the FBI field office, using Mulder as the prisoner, of course. It's then that fortunately there's a guard who, well, let's just say he's not thinking with this when he's talking to Scully. So they actually get in. Mulder then gets caught. He then has blah 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 recurring villain lady, has a chat with her about how they're making the world a better place and how they're going to ascend to a higher plane of existence when they all go into space in this AI thing. Mulder and Scully get into a fight. And Scully shuts down the servers. There's some banter between Mulder and Scully. They then get home to their wrecked house, only to decide that cleaning up really is overrated. And then they get they get a message from Langley telling them that that they need to destroy the backup drives, and then his face runs off scared, and he's being ambushed by Weird Al assassin guy. So yeah, I like the fact that this episode explores what happens to the X-Files when Mulder and Scully didn't take care of him, and why they have a responsibility to them, so that helps. It also explores the passage of time and the way things have changed, but in the end, I feel like this is beside the point. If this is going to be the last season, or even the last season for Scully, they really should be sticking to the main plot points, not opening up new ones. And some people may find this plot a little too preposterous. I didn't find it too preposterous considering the other things we've seen on the X-Files. I mean, just last season we had a frickin' were-lizard, and it was the best episode of the season, so it's not that. But it does feel like it's tangential to everything, and I don't know. I feel like Chris Carter and his team have never adjusted to the fact that they're doing mini-series now instead of full seasons, and so we're getting one-off episodes. They really should have, last season and this season, adjusted to that, which they still haven't done. Also, the fact is, this episode is very irritating to watch. There's some good stuff in it, to be sure, but it's buried. So, my final score is 4 out of 10. It's a below-average episode of The X-Files. Alright, well, see you next week.